Hello and welcome to episode 6 of the Basket Cases podcast.
6, numero 6.
I'm your host, Kevin Henderson. With me, by my side, is the one and only
Zach Bozeman. That's the name they gave me.
Let him introduce himself. Zach Bozeman.
Guilty, the one and only. Recognize.
So welcome to the Basket Cases podcast. Thanks for being here. Thanks for tuning in. Thanks for subscribing. We, as always, like to start the show by encouraging you to hit us up on the interwebs.
And I have one thing to say, too. We've only been doing this for a little over a month, and we have about 200 downloads now. We want to say, we appreciate everybody. It's cool. Good looking out. Appreciate everybody listening.
Yeah, we got to keep spreading the word. We appreciate the love. I know I haven't told that many people, so that's cool. People are checking it out.
Definitely.
But anyway, yeah, make sure to email the show, basketcasesla@basketcasespodcast.com. You can hit us up on Twitter. Follow us on Twitter @basketcasesla. We got Facebook page, SoundCloud, like Jeremy Lin. We got hit us up on SoundCloud, Facebook, Twitter, all that good stuff. We got a great show for you today. A really great show.
Oh yeah, we got some apple cinnamon tea.
Drinking some tea, good for the pipes, good for the voice.
Keeps it sultry.
So we're gonna talk some Lakers today. We're gonna talk a little bit of NFL. We're gonna do a little music break type of segment, not just hip hop today. We're gonna talk a little bit more than just that. My pops encouraged us to talk music.
Rody Ron, shout out. What's up, man?
So anyway, let's start with the Lakers. There's a lot to get to, man. Here we go.
Yep.
So a lot happened last week, Laker fans, and with the announcement of Kobe's retirement right before we recorded our last episode, it was, pretty quick. And so after the whole week, there's been a lot of talk, a lot of things to think about, a lot of, stuff all over ESPN and on the radio and whatnot. And so I had several opinions, and it was a pretty up and down roller coaster type of week. But I wanted to start off with the good, just because we didn't really talk a whole lot about, the impact of what. I didn't realize it was going to be such a big thing in the very first week when Kobe announced his retirement. It's been huge. It's been, one of the number one stories every day on ESPN, NBA TV. It's, league wide. It's a big deal.
Big deal.
So,
to say the least.
So I figured we'd talk about it a little bit just because, this is an LA based show. We're big Laker fans, especially Kobe fans, but we're also, I try to be realistic about what's going on this season too, so we'll get to the bad too. But start off with the good. Just a lot of talk about Kobe's legacy, and I guess get it into the biggest context possible. You can kind of say, well, he was basically the player of his era. A lot of people talk about it being Tim Duncan and Kobe Bryant's era, and they both they both have 5 championships. We'll see what the Spurs can do this year, but it looks like the Warriors are going to steamroll any and everybody. But nonetheless, they're totally different players, Duncan and Kobe. But, a lot of it comes down to what you rate as how high you value peak performance and within a career. And I would argue that Kobe at his best was a better player than Tim Duncan, just more dominant at his peak, in his prime.
Was the best player
but anyway,
of our generation.
So to me, it's Kobe basically had an era in the NBA where he was the guy. He meant a lot to LA. Still means and will continue to mean a lot to LA. He wasn't able to sustain the playoffs year in, year out like Tim Duncan was, but Tim Duncan had a more consistent coach and system and supporting cast around him.
And that wide-eyed look that we all love.
Right.
Just like, whoa. Anyway, Tim Duncan. So obviously very different careers. Kobe, had a three-peat early in his career, winning 3 titles in a row, and then a lot of down years where he didn't have a lot of supporting help or a lot of supporting cast, a good supporting cast on his team. So, but I started thinking about a couple other things just because it was the end of his career real quick. I was thinking, what's your favorite Kobe moment? And I was thinking the reason it's tough to tell because there's been so many, and it really makes it tough to tell when you think people start asking, well, what number should you retire, number 8 or 24? And you're like, whoa, he had so many great moments in both numbers. Or you think, what should this statue outside Staples Center be? What pose should Kobe be in? And you think, whoa, there's so many different ones.
Yeah.
So I thought of just a couple of my favorite Kobe moments, and I want you guys, Laker fans that are listening to the show, I know there's some of you out there, hit up the show and tell us your favorite Kobe Bryant moment of all time, and we'll mention it next week.
We might.
No, we will.
Yeah, we will.
Zach might, but I will. But I was thinking, I just had a couple of mine. I was thinking, I forget who it was against, but it wasn't, when Kobe was averaging in his 30s and whatnot, and he had a left-handed three-pointer from the corner. I think it was against the Mavs. And I think Mark Cuban got up and just clapped, like he was at the game, the owner of the Mavericks. The owner of the Mavericks got up and clapped for Kobe's shot because he made a left-handed three, fall away from the corner. And it was just so natural for Kobe to just go to his left. I just thought at that moment, wow, this guy is the most skilled. Kobe's right-handed.
Right.
I thought, I'm just
that's the best thing
I was
ever.
like, that's one of the most skilled things I've seen. And then just breaking out the Mamba face, the underbite face, like the snake. Versus, I think he busted it out first against Denver in maybe 2008 or 2009 in the playoffs. Obviously, the 81-point game, the 62, I think it was, through three quarters against the Mavericks, or maybe at 63, something like that. Obviously winning the 5th title against the Celtics, 61 points against Madison Square Garden, or in Madison Square Garden against the Knicks, at the time the record in that building. Just so many great Kobe moments. I just thought, man, it's a cool thing when you really start to think 20 years. That's been most of my life,
Mm-hmm.
And Laker fans have been with him a long time too. So I wanted to just kind of talk about some of that stuff.
I think the 81 points in one game is my favorite.
Yeah.
Because, that's just, it's
it's ridiculous.
No matter how you pull off a left-handed half court, whatever, 81 points in one game is just straight up.
Especially from the guard position.
That's just, there's no denying. There's no luck there. There's no fluke there. It's just somebody just had a good game.
He was just meant to play ball, man.
Had a good game.
Totally. So that gets me to think that, what should be his, pose for the statue? Because there's going to be a statue outside Staples Center in no time. Hopefully in no time. Kareem had to wait a long time, and that was pretty ridiculous. But
that's sacrilegious.
But I was thinking, because, Kobe had that letter to the fans that came out the night he retired, and they, passed them out to everybody at Staples. And the picture in the background was him, just walking off the court holding up the number 1 from the time he scored that 81 points. And I was thinking that could be a cool pose for the statue.
Statue, I think it should be the fadeaway.
Just the baseline fadeaway jumper.
Straight up.
I think that
stylish.
Just the follow through, just the, the focus, the determination on the face. I could see that one. Or I was also thinking, what about he had a couple dunks, I think it was his rookie year in the preseason. I think they were at UNLV, and he had that dunk from practically the free throw line. And his legs, not, how the famous Michael Jordan pose, one leg's forward and one leg is backwards, and he's
coming out.
Yeah. Well, Kobe had the same kind of thing, except both legs one is to the side and the other's to the left and right side. So similar pose though, with the right hand going up for the dunk, and he did that dunk on Steve Nash from the right side, on Dwight Howard from the left side, and coming down the lane in that preseason game as a rookie. And I was thinking, just one of those ferocious dunks in that type of body position where he did some of his best dunks in that kind of position would be pretty sweet.
Against Dwight Howard when Kobe was a rookie?
No. I'm sorry. These were 3 different dunks.
My bad.
That Kobe had similar body position, because I'm talking for the statue.
Right, for sure.
And
they
were
Dwight Howard. Damn,
he dunked on Dwight Howard when Dwight Howard was in Orlando.
Right.
So anyway, now on to the bad stuff.
Yep.
That was all the Kobe love we're doing for now.
Sad but true.
Kobe announced his retirement right before the Lakers, embarked on this very long road trip. And the first game was in Philadelphia against the 76ers. That's Kobe's hometown. And it was one of the ugliest games I've ever seen. It was really it was really hard to watch, because the last couple of years with the Lakers have been really hard to watch. But then you're thinking, hey, we got some young players and maybe we'll try to start playing better basketball. But having the whole week to reflect, I'm not as enraged now, because I think I just kind of understand what's going on now, and I just have accepted it, and we'll get into that in a moment. But basically, in the moment, I was very furious watching the Lakers. It was Kobe just jacking up so many shots, trying to put on a show for his hometown, which I was going to give him a pass because it was just one game, but the next game he shot a bunch of shots too against Washington. The difference was a lot of them fell for him, and he, got to have one of those kind of classic Kobe moments, and it was fun. But I think that was going to be the exception, not the rule this season. So I don't really want to see Kobe jacking up all these shots game after game. But then like I said, I started to kind of learn what's going on, and I realized, okay, here's what's going on. The other night after the game, James Worthy said that Kobe's minutes are not going to decrease. He said that Kobe told him basically his philosophy is going to be just, I'm going until the wheels fall off. Mm-hmm. So that tells me that Kobe's not going to try to do anything different this year. He's just going to be he's going to try to be the Mamba Snake. He might be a little older, a little grumpier, a little less agile and whatever, but he's just going to do what Kobe does. And the difference is he's just going to miss shots, and we're not going to get any better this year probably. I mean, we will a little bit, just because by nature of playing basketball, some of the young players will just get a little better. But the Lakers' priority is not going to be, the Lakers' priority is going to be letting Kobe do Kobe's thing.
Right.
Do the farewell tour.
That's more out of respect
shots.
As opposed for the good of the team, or like.
Right. Well, here's how we found out though, because the other night, who's like the joke on the Lakers? Nick Young, right? Swaggy P, the guy who calls himself Swaggy P. He's the joke. But he was the most honest person after that game against Philadelphia. He after the game he said, tonight we looked like the circus was in town. We looked like clowns out there. And this is the guy that has the double stud earring, nose ring, and the NSYNC t-shirt, and like 4 necklaces on, and the little gold band around one of his little things in his hair. And he's the one just being real and saying we look like clowns, and he's not just talking about his post-game attire. He's talking about the product on the floor. Kobe shot 17 3-pointers. So I think where is it? I'm keeping it real, okay? I love Kobe. But that game was frustrating. Like I said, I was going to give him a pass, but here's what happened. Nick Young said that that we look like clowns, just being honest after the game. And then who got 2 consecutive DNP CDs, did not play coach's decisions? Nick Young. He didn't get to play after that because I think it's because he spoke up. Byron Scott was asked about it, and Byron said, "You guys are making it sound like he's been out for a month. No, don't worry about it." I think it's coming from the top that Kobe gets to just shoot, and we just got to just deal with it. So there you go. But the other hand,
just don't give Kobe the ball.
Right. But then I really pass the ball. But then I really started thinking, okay, but maybe is there some sort of, I started thinking of conspiracy theories, or just rhyme, what is the word, rhymed for this reason, or reason for this rhyme, whatever's going on. Just trying to figure out why they would just be okay with looking that horrible on the court, right?
Draft pick.
And I started thinking, well, maybe it's just because the Lakers have a top 3 protected draft pick in the upcoming draft after this season. So what that means is, what it means is if the Lakers finish with one of the 3 worst records in the league, then they will keep their draft pick, and if not, then they will lose it to a team that they traded it to, but it's a top 3 protected, meaning they could retain it, like I said, if they have that bad of a record. And to me, if Kobe's going to continue to play like this, and the team is going to continue to play like this, then we got a good shot at keeping, the Lakers have a good shot at keeping that pick. And so they kind of get the business thing of, hey, we're going to sell all these tickets. Kobe's going to get the farewell tour, and he's just going to do whatever he can until the wheels fall off, as he says it. And
they're already coming unhinged.
Right. And well, I just don't know. I just don't think he's going to be able to stay healthy if he keeps playing this many minutes.
The whole season?
For the whole season. I just don't. I mean, because you can't fool me, this many times. 3 times in a row. I'm hoping he stays healthy, but.
Aren't we all?
Yeah.
But the Lakers have good players. They're just inexperienced. We're going to be good again next few years, I feel like.
And then I think that there is some hope for the future, but the reason why it's going down like this, I mean, Jeannie Buss did some interviews, the owner of the Lakers. She did some interviews after Kobe announced his retirement on the radio. She did some interviews this week, and she was saying just things about, like, I kind of read into what she was saying, where she was asked about the Kobe farewell tour and what it meant to her and what was so important about it. And she brought up that when Magic Johnson was forced to retire so early because he had contracted the HIV virus, and at the time they were fearful for his life, even because they knew so much less about it at the time,
right.
That she was disappointed that he was not going to get a proper farewell. and that, you know, she and Magic kind of grew up together and were kind of like a brotherly relationship, and now she considers Kobe like family. And so if he is going out, she has so much, you know, almost like too much sentiment to be a good owner for a sports team. But at the same time, like I said, the Lakers are young. They stand to keep a draft pick, and it's going to take 2 or 3 years before all these young players can really be good enough to compete for anything anyway. So it's just, you got to have a lot of foresight and a lot of big picture mentality, macro thinking when you're thinking about the Lakers right now, because it's the only way you're going to be able to sleep at night if you're a hardcore Laker fan, because otherwise it's just going to be ugly.
Well, plus, like, I know you didn't say at least, but it's like, I would say 2-3 years, not even at least. It's like, I think they'll be good in 3 years.
I think they will too. I mean, there's good players on the team, but
they just need to learn to work together.
Here's the thing: if they are really trying to play bad basketball, it's a difficult thing to watch, and it's a difficult thing to accept as a Laker fan or as a basketball fan. But if the league doesn't do anything to discourage it, and they still continue to have an incentive for losing for teams that are in that type of position, then that's what's going to keep happening for at least a couple of teams like the 76ers or whatever. But beyond that, just a lot of people have been frustrated with Byron Scott, and I'm kind of one of them. I've always liked Byron Scott. He's a great Laker, and I like him as a person. I think his personality, I think he's a good person, but as a basketball coach, I'm wondering, is he really focusing on certain things that this team can do offensively and defensively to get better, or is he just telling them to play harder? Because a lot of times they look lost, and a lot of times it's just they're young, and they're just learning, and that's just stuff that
I think that's like most of it, because he just came out of high school. I mean, it was like no one's really playing good ball in high school. Right. There's just a few good kids who play, and then and even less of the few kids go pro.
But Reggie Miller had some comments because people were calling for Byron's head, and this is from
after he shaved all the wisdom off his upper lip. So,
But yeah, he did shave the mustache. But Reggie Miller said on his Instagram account, ridiculous Lakers or any media members to even think or suggest that Byron Scott should be fired. He's had a hurt Black Mamba and farewell tour Kobe to contend with, and a bunch of no-namers he's had to coach. Have to give him time and talent to make an educated decision. Yes, he has young talent in deloading, which is D'Angelo Russell and Julius Randle, but they are young people. It's easy to point the finger at Coach Scott, but those fingers easily could be pointed at Jim Buss or Mitch Kupchak too. Patience. So that's how Reggie Miller feels about it. And on one hand, I kind of agree. I don't think most of this is really Mitch Kupchak. I think he's just trying to do his best to draft good players. And he's done a lot of really good trades for the Lakers in the past years. I think he gets overlooked a lot of times for the good that he's done. But maybe ownership would be a better place to look. When Byron Scott got hired, I hoped he'd be a little more stern with Kobe, but clearly that's not his job. We thought it was, but it's not.
Yeah.
So
they have an interesting dynamic too, because they were teammates.
Yeah.
So I wonder if that affected anything, even though Byron's older, obviously.
Sure. But and not to bury the lead, but the Lakers did play today, and it was an ugly game. I could barely stand watching it. They lost 111-91 to the Pistons. Lou Williams led the team with 21 points. Kobe was sick. He didn't feel well. He didn't play a lot. He didn't play well. He only had 5 points. Nick Young got kicked out. He got fouled going to the basket, and the guy fouled him in a way where he maybe could have fallen hard, but it was not a bad foul at all. It was just a regular basketball play. But you could tell Nick Young was frustrated. He was finally getting some minutes after not playing for a couple of games. Yeah. Team was getting blown out. He doesn't like what's going on the court. I understand it.
Fired up.
Yeah, it was just he's just sick of this BS, and you can understand that.
Yep.
So anyway, that's the Laker talk for today. That was a lot. We went real Laker heavy, but it was a big week, and I just had to get a lot of that stuff off my chest. So hit me up, Laker fans, with your thoughts and opinions. I know a lot of you guys just are loving watching Kobe shoot, and I feel you. I get it. And now that I see what's going on from the top, I realize that I need to just accept it because nothing I can do about it.
Yeah.
We're going to see some ugly basketball this year.
Yeah.
But around the NBA, lots of stuff has been going on this week. I don't know if anybody else has League Pass. I always talk about that, but that's how I keep tabs on everything. It's pretty sweet. You just
get it if you ain't got it.
Yeah, flip on a game. I saw John Wall bang knees with somebody. John Wall, the guard for the Wizards, banged knees and ended up having to get helped off the floor. I don't know. Usually that's just like a quick little stinger, possibly a bone bruise, but we'll see what happened. I haven't heard the official word on him, but I just saw that and it looked bad. So that's a big deal because John Wall's an entertaining player for NBA fans.
Ouch.
I want to just talk about the Golden State Warriors because really, it'd be a shame not to. It's like watching what they're doing is
best team ever.
That what they always do is, and they just have so much game on their roster, man.
Get the shot.
Yeah, with Carter with a shot. That's our Doc Emmerich from the hockey.
Doc Emmerich. Kings.
Mike, remember whatever his name is. With Carter with the shot. But anyway, they played a couple tough games this weekend. The Warriors did. They won both of them. They're now 22-0. That's the best start to a season in any professional sport in American history. The four major sports: basketball, football, baseball, and hockey.
Ridiculous.
They had a good game that I watched against the Toronto Raptors yesterday in Toronto. The Warriors pulled it out 112 to 109. They almost lost. It was a close game. Curry was just insane. The Warriors are a little shorthanded with Harrison Barnes out, and Draymond Green has not been shooting the ball well at all. So it's really been back to the Splash Brothers again, kind of, where Klay Thompson is having to step up a little more.
Yep.
But Curry had 44 points. He went 9 of 15 from three-point line. He makes like 7 or 8 three-pointers in a game regularly,
right.
with taking like less than, shooting like 50% from the three-point line. Kyle Lowry's been having a great year. It's crazy. You think the first thing you want to talk about is the Warriors winning and how many points Steph had. Kyle Lowry for the Raptors had 41 points, and he shot 6 of 10 from three-point land himself. But just the way, just to get to 22-0, just watching the Warriors, I've been really like analyzing what they do. It's really just the same formula. They just do the same stuff all the time. They move the ball. They're always in motion. The bodies, with and without the ball, are always moving. They come up. They do a weave at the top of the key. Then the two guys, they run off the weave, go up to the sides. They come and set a back pick for each other. One guy pops out and sets a screen for the ball handler. It's like they have like boom, 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 boom. They know what they're doing. They're just executing basketball. They make the smart play, and they're the same way defensively. The way the other team moves the ball, that's the way their legs move. Mm-hmm. If there's a screen that requires somebody to switch, they just switch. They feel the game. Right. They know how to play. And when they're in a groove like that, it's really tough to lose, even if they are shorthanded, because everybody knows how to step up and play on that team. Everybody gets there. They're so deep that everybody gets minutes, so people are ready to step up and just fill in for anybody that's hurt. So anyway, it's just incredible. I really recommend anybody. If you see the Golden State Warriors are playing, just watch them. It's fun to watch if you're a basketball fan. It really is. I mean,
definitely.
You just got to take your affiliations from other teams and loyalties away and just appreciate good team ball. Miami's been playing good ball. Miami Heat, they beat the Thunder last week. They beat a LeBron-less Cavs on Saturday. Charlotte's been an interesting team because they beat the Bulls this week, 102-96. Now both those teams have 11 wins. Chicago's just 2 better in the loss column there, but Charlotte's kind of a fun team. They're sitting around 500-ish or so, but a couple games over, but they're just better than we typically expect them to be. So it's just kind of fun when teams are
5, 4.
There you
3,
go.
Oh, we know that.
2.
What is it?
1.
It's halftime.
It's halftime.
All right. Hopefully some of you know what halftime is by now.
It is halftime. So that means we're at the 24-minute mark. We've officially finished 24 minutes of the show. We're going to talk about some non-sports stuff, or we'll maybe sprinkle some sports stuff in a different way into the conversation. But it's just a time to break it up. After all that Lakers stuff, I just vomited all over your ears. Excuse me for that.
Ew.
I know that was a gross depiction. Sorry. My bad.
You're bad.
So how are you, man? What's going on?
Oh,
you feel good?
I feel good, man. I just feel hard working, making music.
Me too, man. I worked hard. I worked a lot on some music this weekend, man. A lot on some music. I'll have to show you some stuff later.
Oh, of course.
But anyway, I got some cool stuff to talk about for halftime. I got a game for us to play. I want to kind of like drop a game right now in the middle of halftime, and it's not going to involve you having to name NBA players with a catchphrase.
Thank God.
So,
because I suck at that. If anybody listened last week.
All right, it should be. Yeah.
Just don't listen to that part of last week. I mean, I thought it was so bad it was funny, but I mean, other people.
It was funny.
Don't take it too seriously.
It was yeah. But anyway.
I'm not telling you what to do, though.
So this was just an article that I found that was talking about the top 10 best states to live in. And they were basing it, let me look and see what they were basing it on.
Artistic culture.
I don't think they were basing it on that at all. I think it was more about like prosperity, because after every time they list one of the states, they say things about like the population growth, the poverty rate, life expectancy at birth,
boring.
In just income. Those are the things that they're talking about here.
Interestingly boring.
So here's the thing. I already looked at the list, and some of them are going to be kind of difficult for me to get you to say, but maybe we'll get it. There's 50 states. You just got to guess 10 of them. So
it rhymes with Ortland.
And I can't do that. So I figure we'll do it catchphrase style, and we'll play the game. Okay, so we're going to do catchphrase, which means I'm going to try to get Zach to say these 10 states. I'm going to set the timer for, let's do it for let's give ourselves I'll just do it for a minute, and we'll just do our best.
Do we even have to time it? Why don't we just play it?
All right, ready?
But I won't make you dwell too long.
Okay, here we go.
I love this song.
All right, number 10. Ready?
Yep.
Is for lovers.
Is for lovers.
Which state is for lovers? Willie from Lamb of God. Where's Lamb of God from?
Oh,
Richmond,
Virginia.
Aloha.
Hawaii.
This is a small East Coast state.
Delaware.
For maple, they're known for
New
maple
Hampshire.
syrup. Yeah, that's on the list. Hang on.
I know maple syrup is Canada.
No, well, this is in the U.S. though. Okay, small one on the East Coast. Baltimore,
Maryland.
That's another one. Okay, we got that. That's number 7. The Rocky Mountains, Denver,
Colorado.
Got it. That's number 6. The Timberwolves. It's really cold there.
Oh, come on. This is bad.
Oh yeah.
Minnesota.
There you go. Oh yeah.
Minnesota.
Oh yeah, Minnesota. The Shore over on the East Coast.
Shore. Jersey Shore.
There you go.
New Jersey.
There you go. You already got New Hampshire. Adam Sandler was from there. That was going to be my hint.
I didn't know that.
ESPN,
from New York.
ESPN headquarters. Right, over where are they? On the East Coast. Number 2 on this list.
New York.
No.
I don't know.
Okay, it's like think of a lot of trees and old rich people. Quiet area of the East Coast.
Maine.
A little, no, not that far.
That's not a.
Okay. This is why we need a clock, because it builds the anticipation. Because I feel like I'm rushing for no reason now, but because it sounds better on the mic.
No, I mean I don't know the answer.
Okay,
so you might as well get on with it.
All right, number 1, Boston,
Massachusetts.
There we go. So we'll just call that the end of it.
Like it's a fucking. Excuse me. Like it's an effing question.
Okay.
Massachusetts.
So number 1 was Massachusetts. They say that's the best state to live in. I don't know about that. So California didn't even make the list. That's where we're from.
California sucks. Got no money for schools, or arts, or music.
Or apparently we have a high, according to this list, it means the opposite of all these good things. We probably have too much population, bad poverty rate, high unemployment,
a lot of homeless people,
low life expectancy. We probably have the opposite of all the places.
A lot of smog.
These places have. What else was on the list? Connecticut, New Hampshire, New Jersey, Minnesota, Colorado, Maryland, and Vermont, Hawaii, and Virginia. So there you go. That's the halftime game real quick.
That was interesting.
Right? I thought so.
I think Oregon's a good state to live in.
I've never been to Oregon.
I've been to Portland and Eugene. I enjoyed it. It was kind of wet there, but it was very green and beautiful, and I feel like it was culturally artistic. It was good. Whatever. If you've been to Portland, I'm just
right on. I got another one for you. You got to choose in the battle of ketchup versus mustard on this one. All right, so French's is taking aim at Heinz in a condiments war. This is by
band name
Lisa Fickenshire, her name is. I forget where I got this from.
Are you sure it's
I apologize. It might have been the New York Post, I think, actually. But anyway.
Kevin reads articles.
I have all this fodder on here. So anyway, there's a food fight breaking out in the condiment aisle, she says, and the mustard guys are throwing some real haymakers. So I guess what's going on is there's going to be a $25 million television, print, and radio marketing campaign coming out with the new Promise seal, and they're doing a new food philosophy thing by French's, the one that makes the mustard that you all see in the grocery store, and they're going to try to make all these all natural products and everything, and they're going to try to target the fact that regular Heinz uses high fructose corn syrup in their ketchup. But I went to and so it's funny because I got this article a couple days ago, and then I needed ketchup. We don't have any ketchup, so I went to the grocery store, and I noticed that Heinz had 4 shelves of ketchup that were all natural ketchup. So apparently, and I read in the article also, I was looking for it but they had several shelves of it. The point being that Heinz is kind of already prepping for the onslaught, and they've already got their own products on the shelves that are all natural. But the difference is French's is going to market it big time coming up here.
You don't become Heinz by sitting around and being lazy.
Well, this is French's attacking Heinz right here.
Oh, yeah. The Heinz is up on it. They're ready. They've already stocked with their organic stuff.
Well, they're a big company. So we'll see. Who do you like? You like French's or Heinz? What are you going with?
Man, I would go with mustard. Actually,
that's French's.
French's. Yeah.
I'm a Heinz guy. I go with the ketchup. I proudly bought that bottle of ketchup, all natural styly, today.
Good for you.
That's right.
I probably would have bought it too. But mustard, I feel like I just eat more often.
Interesting. I don't really eat mustard that often, but I'm not opposed to it as much as I used to be.
Mustard.
I saw another article. It's kind of funny. It says, I think this was from the Huffington Post. I'm not sure. I should probably start writing that down better. But it was written by Michael Rydell. And it says, here's what the 1% give each other for Christmas. and one of the quotes says that money is like a sixth sense without which you cannot make complete use of the other 5. So this is talking about at Christmas time, what the rich are passing out to each other. And I guess one of the big type of gifts that they give each other is incredibly expensive champagne and bottles of wine or just cabinets of wine, fetching around $275,000 a bottle for certain bottles. Just what the 1%.
You're the reason why we have poor people.
So
you are the reason.
So I got to thinking, if you just had a just absurd amount of money, or just had a friend who had an absurd amount of money and wanted to gift you something, what would you ask for? In the hundreds of thousands of dollars range.
A house.
She's like, can I have a house?
Will you buy me a house so I can live there forever and never have to come out?
Put the house in Canada.
You could do that, actually. Canada's beautiful. I've only been to Vancouver, but
a house would be a pretty good one. Just buy me a house.
Exactly.
I don't want all that wine.
Are you sure?
I just want shelter and warmth and food.
I mean, I was going to put a down payment on a house, but I just bought this bottle of wine. I feel like you'd like it better. You sure you don't want a private jet or anything?
Man, you just really put it into perspective for me. I was thinking on more frivolous things, and I was I tell them to wait for 4 years and then buy me a plane.
A car.
Yeah.
A big shiny car.
2 Bentleys. One for the Monday, Wednesday, Friday. One for Tuesday, Thursday, Sunday, and Saturday I'll drive my Hummer.
There you go. Drive my Hummer. Yes.
I don't have a Hummer. That was a joke. Speaking of cars and stuff, though, this was a surprising article that I found. Again, I forgot where I got it from, but it's by James Covert. I get all these things from the same few places because they have the type of news that doesn't offend a million people. Huffington Post, New York Post, all that type of stuff.
People are too touchy.
Yeah, so that's one from one of those. I'm sorry, I forgot to write it down this week. And the article says Uber, the driving car service thing, is more valuable than American car companies. And Motor City just fell under the shadow of Uber. The ride-hailing app is valuing itself in its largest financing round at $62.5 billion.
Damn.
Money ain't a thing.
Well ahead of the market values commanded by Detroit-based General Motors and Ford. GM and Ford each hovered around $56.4 billion. Their reported valuation in the private markets also surpasses that of Honda, although it still falls short of Toyota, Daimler, Volkswagen, and BMW. But that's insane. It's just like a startup from San Francisco. And man, that's a lot of money.
That's too much money.
Can you believe that? I didn't realize it was that huge now. Like, that's crazy.
Well, good for Uber.
Yeah.
I take you once in a while.
And then one more thing for halftime that was kind of fun, just to bring some basketball into it. I saw this article, I think, on Hoops Hype, and it says only one player has made more money in the NBA than Kobe Bryant. I figured just one more thing with Kobe because of the retirement week, and it's probably a good time to talk about the
inflation.
Yeah, sure. So who do you think it is? Who do you think is the one player who's made more money than Kobe in their career?
In their career.
And we're talking like on the court salaries, I think. This is not off the court, endorsements and all that other stuff.
On the court salary. I can't even think of anyone who's been playing as long as him.
Well, there's one.
Okay.
I mean,
besides, I wouldn't say.
I'll give you a couple hints. Well, this is somebody that also came into the league in high school. They're a tall, skinny guy, good defensive player, big trash talker. Played on the Celtics when the Lakers played them in 2008 and 10. Who is it, Zach? Come on, you can get it. All right, it was Kevin Garnett.
Oh, okay.
So Kevin Garnett made $335,872,398. Kobe's just a few million behind him at $328,238,162. So, do you want to hear the other guys on the list?
Yeah.
And you got to think, players make more money every year. The contracts go up every year and stuff. So, you got to figure more modern players have had higher salaries, and guys who have been playing longer obviously accrue more money. So, KG and Kobe are number 1 and 2 accordingly. Shaq is number 3, $292 million. Tim Duncan's number 4 at $240 million. Then you got Dirk Nowitzki, another guy who's been playing a long time, $220 million. Joe Johnson, $198 million. Wow. Paul Pierce, $193 million. Jason Kidd, $187 million. Ray Allen, $184. This is just so sad. That's so many millions of dollars. Carmelo, $180 million. C. Webb, Chris Webber, $178 million. LeBron, all the way down at $172 million. Wow. I'm surprised he's that low on this list. Pau Gasol's right behind him at $171. Then Vince Carter, $169. Jermaine O'Neal, $168 million. Elton Brand at $167, and Amar'e Stoudemire at $167. So there you go. That's halftime for everybody.
Damn.
Some articles and some money.
Whatnot.
Money ain't a thing.
So cool. Halftime.
That was halftime.
So we were talking about the Miami Heat beating the Thunder last week, and they beat the Cavs on Saturday, and that Charlotte was an emerging team, kind of fun to watch out of the East. Another guy that's had quite a resurgence is Paul George. It's good to see him, doing things like
360 dunk in your
and
face. Pass the ball.
And
Slam the alley-oop.
all that type of good stuff.
Nice.
Yeah, nice. Paul George it's really cool because if you don't know, Paul George had like a severe leg injury. I think it was playing for Team USA a couple of years ago in the summer.
USA.
Yeah, and he came back after 9 months or whatever, something like that, rehab, and they put his leg back together, and he looks great. Like he's just playing like he did before the injury. I guess if you really think about it, it's just a fracture of the leg. It looked really bad, but bones heal, and they can put that back together. So anyway, it's just really cool to see Paul George balling. He had a career-high 48 points in an overtime loss to Gordon Hayward's Jazz the other night. Hayward had 22, and Favors had 35 points in the win for the Jazz. Jazz are a young team. They're kind of fun to watch sometimes. They have some good games. They have their ups and downs, though. The Clippers narrowly beat the young, tough, aforementioned on episode 5, Orlando Magic on Saturday, just 103-101. Close game. The Clippers were still without Chris Paul and J.J. Redick, and they play a lot different without those guys on the floor. J.J. Redick, he's not, very physically imposing or anything like that, but he just plays smart ball. And obviously Chris Paul not being in there makes a big difference. Jamal Crawford was big with 32 points. Blake Griffin had 28 points and 7 assists. Dude, and then I was watching the Rockets, and they had these uniforms on, and one of the Mavericks assistant coaches in like the halftime interview, they said, well, the interviewer guys asked the coach, so do you got any feelings about the Mavericks? What are they going for with those uniforms? And he goes, they're going for maybe a low sales. They're like, oh, shots fired. It was like stupid. But at the same time, I was thinking, man, I hate all these new uniforms. Like, there's a different uniform on the court every night now, and they all have, first of all, like all the different colors, so you don't even know which team. The Thunder were wearing orange jerseys today. The Rockets were wearing gray jerseys the other day. The Warriors will go. I don't even know. Right. But the worst thing is just when they have these new jerseys with sleeves. It's like it doesn't look like NBA basketball.
Atrocious.
It doesn't look like NBA basketball. It looks like soccer or something.
Soccer. Yeah. It looks like. But it's like I understand. We all want a nice house. We all want a nice car. But must everything be about money?
Yeah, they're just trying to They're just trying to sell jerseys, and it's just like
more for them.
I know. Real quick, let's do some Dodgers just real fast. Zach Greinke, Dodger fans. Excuse me as I drop my notes. Zach Greinke, Dodger fans, is no longer a Dodger. He agreed, turned down the Dodgers, who offered him a 5-year deal, reportedly offered worth $155 million. He turned them down to go to the Arizona Diamondbacks because they offered him that 6th year, and it's a $206 million contract. Greinke's already 32 years old, so he's going to be 38. I think that although Zach Greinke is an exceptional pitcher, and this is going to hurt the Dodgers' chances in the short run, probably, by year 4 or 5 of that contract, we're going to be glad that we didn't, sign him for that many years.
Right. 32.
But it also leaves a very big void in the Dodgers rotation. So anyway, that's just the news from baseball in LA right now.
Kershaw.
All right, Kershaw. Gotta win.
It's all up to you, buddy.
He's got to win like 50 games for us next year.
So don't pitch like crap, okay?
So anyway, that was the Dodgers. Real quick, just some more LA coverage. USC had another big week. They removed the interim tag on head coach Clay Helton, so he got the job, and it kind of made me want to have a quick discussion about like how to hire somebody, because USC has had several coaches in the last few years. Like, what did they have? They went from Pete Carroll, then I forget who was it, Lane Kiffin after him. Then they had Orgeron, and then they had Sark, and now they got Clay Helton. I mean, so many coaches in the last few years, and I thought the Lakers have had quite a few coaches in the last few years as well.
Totally.
And it becomes a really interesting conversation about like how should you hire somebody. Like I felt like the Trojans were trying to find just like the right guy with like USC blood and all that type of stuff, and then you start realizing, well, maybe we just need the right guy for the job in the moment, and the way the players were responding. Right. Well, that's one way to go about it. It's also just who's the best guy for the job overall. Mm-hmm. Like, what if they interviewed somebody else who had nothing to do with USC and was just a great coach, but they went with Helton. The players seemed to respond very favorably to him. However, and just real quick about that conversation about how to hire with the Lakers, it's an interesting thing too, because you thought when Byron Scott was coming with the Lakers, he was going to be the stern guy and to keep Kobe in check, but that's clearly not the case. So it's just interesting that you can be deceived in that way sometimes about what's going to happen. But anyway,
deceive yourself.
Well, yeah, I mean, maybe I was just being optimistic, like a lot of Laker fans.
Well, yeah, I mean, obviously deceit has a negative connotation. Optimism is what it's about. Yeah, I mean, new coach, you want a new bright future, and just maybe
you're hoping for better when there's change.
Exactly.
Just because that's all we can do. But anyway, USC, they played Stanford for the Pac-12 championship on Saturday. They got blown out 41-22. So now Stanford, ranked number 7 in the college football playoff, will have to settle for a spot in the Rose Bowl. McCaffrey ran for 207 yards and a score. He threw a touchdown pass, caught another one, and broke Barry Sanders' single-season all-purpose yards record. So he had a big game. And then USC over the weekend, after that loss, fired 4 of their assistant coaches. So
You're fired.
You're fired.
You're fired. You're fired. You're cool. You're fired.
So anyway, that was USC's news. Pretty big week in the NFL. A couple tight games, couple blowouts. Sunday Night Football featured the Colts and the Steelers. Oh, sorry, I want to real quick make a correction from last week. I didn't even watch this game, but I still misspoke. I said that the Eagles beat the Lions, but we all know the Lions beat down the Eagles on Thanksgiving. My dad and one of my coworkers, thanks for listening to the show and correcting me. My bad. I don't have a producer in my ear.
It just means you're listening.
Thank you. Exactly. So anyway, the Colts beat they lost to the Steelers. Steelers cruised 45-10. I felt like every time I was kind of working on some music and just watching the game, and I felt like every time I looked up, the Steelers were just making a big play. Cam Newton threw for 381 pass yards and had 5 touchdowns in the Panthers Saints game. It was a tight game, lots of scoring, and Carolina just found a way to win 41-38, and they remain undefeated at 12-0. They're dangerous. Cam Newton's just a beast. He's really keeping them afloat in games where they're having to find new ways to win. Let's see. The Eagles snapped a 3-game losing streak, beating the Patriots 35-28 in like a miracle. Who would have thought? That's the first regular season consecutive losses for the Patriots since September of 2012.
Whoa. And
they play Houston on Sunday Night Football next week. So interesting. The Patriots had a couple down weeks, and of the Eagles of all people beating them. The Jets beat the Giants 23-20. Some controversy in that game. The coach of the Giants, Tom Coughlin, he made a very aggressive call to go for it on 4th and 1 in the red zone, and they did not convert, and that would have given them a 23-10, I believe, lead, a pretty big lead at the time. And then the Jets staged a big comeback, and then they ended up winning in overtime 23-20. So if they would have just gone for that field goal and not failed to convert on that 4th and 1, they would have won that game. So being a little over aggressive bit them in the butt.
Yep.
Interesting call, though. I'm surprised they went for that. After the game, Coach Coughlin said it's something that he's been doing all season, going aggressive, and obviously he had nothing to show for it, so he was just kind of standing by his decision because he said it had been working for him. Ravens lost to the Dolphins in a game 15-13 in a game nobody watched probably. The Bucks beat the Falcons 23-19 in a game nobody watched probably. But both those teams are 6-6. The Bills beat the Texans 30-21. Both those teams are 6-6. The Niners won a thriller in overtime against the Bears 26-20. The Bears kicker missed I failed to write down his name, my bad. But he missed he's probably glad because he missed 2 big field goals, including the one that would have won the game before it went into overtime. So that was a tough one for them to swallow. Cardinals beat my Rams 27-3. They avenged their loss to the Rams earlier this season. The Cardinals are now 10-2, and my Rams are 4-8. So they're having another tough year. And then another team having a tough year, per usual, would be the Browns. They got dominated by the Bengals 37-3. The Bengals are also 10-2, and the Titans beat the Jags 42-39. Lots of scoring in that one. And just a couple more games here. The Broncos beat the Chargers 17-3. The Broncos defense continues to be amazing. They got another touchdown for their team. I think they said that they've had like 5 or 6 touchdowns or something on the year for them. So they have an impressive defense, keeping them afloat. Osweiler's been pretty good for them in the absence of Peyton Manning. And Broncos are 10-2. Chargers are 3-9. And finally, the Chiefs beat the Raiders 34-20. And the Chiefs are 7-5, so they're still in the mix. Want to do a quick little break and talk some music?
Yes.
Why not? Want to listen to some rock and roll?
No.
Tough noogies. So I got this article from the Rolling Stone, and they put out, it's by Michael Gallucci, and he comprised a list of the 10 best album closing tracks. So album closers, the epic final cut. And some highlights from his list were 40 off of U2's War, The Tourist off of Radiohead's OK Computer, Train in Vain off London Calling by The Clash.
Of course, U2, The Clash, and Radiohead would be on that list. It's Rolling Stone.
Right.
But anyway.
They also mentioned Hurt by the Nine Inch Nails on the Downward Spiral. And number 1 on their list was, can you guess it? Well, I'll bet you could guess by what band it's by. Just think, Rolling Stone, just cliche. Like, what band would it be?
Okay, Rolling Stones.
Not that cliche. not that cliche, but almost that cliche. Who do you think?
The Beatles.
Okay, not that cliche. Nirvana.
Oh, okay.
Still up there though. And it was All Apologies off of In Utero.
Ooh, that's a good choice.
Yeah,
actually, that's the best choice out of all those.
Definitely, at least it was a good choice. But still, Nirvana is just a band that always makes lists like that.
Yeah, well, genius songwriting. What can you do?
But the reason I thought that article was cool because I've been listening to this band called the Alabama Shakes lately.
They're good.
I'm apparently late to the party, but their new album is awesome, and the last song on the album is probably the best one in my opinion. It's called Over My Head. It's on the album Sound and Color. I thought of some other good. Do you have any good album closers?
I had a couple actually. One of them was Gangstar, Stay Tuned.
Right.
Step in the Arena.
Okay.
Because it's just super sick. It's like the whole album's like, the whole album's banging, but then the last one's like the track, the flow is just super understated. And he's basically just giving this mellow outro saying, stay tuned for the next record, which is Daily Operation, which is like amazing.
Nice.
And then I would say Babies Making Babies by Sly and the Family Stone off of 1973's Fresh.
Okay.
And because that's just a great funky track. Just disgustingly raw and soulful and amazing.
Gotta love the funky tracks. Some eclectic taste from my man Z Beats over there.
That's why I have problems, coming up with favorites because.
Well, it's just some notable songs. These are good ones for just the end of end of a record.
Yeah, yours are.
I got some good ones.
I have some. Yeah. Okay. Go ahead.
Okay, so I went with 21st Century by Bad Religion on the album Stranger Than Fiction. Great one.
Yep.
I went with Parental Discretion by Big Pun on Capital Punishment.
I'd put that on my favorites.
Which one? Parental Discretion. It's a good one.
With Busta Rhymes.
Yeah.
That's probably the best thing Busta Rhymes ever did.
Yeah, I like Implements of Destruction by Chimera, one of my favorite metal bands on their album Impossibility of Reason. Mm-hmm. Just the outro track is like a badass instrumental.
Yeah.
I also have a Gangstar one on mine, Coming for That Ass on Hard to Earn.
I'd agree with that one for
That's
sure.
That's a great closing track. Just awesome.
That's probably better than my Gangstar pick, even though they're different, but the
good closers.
Oh yeah.
I got The Greatest Lights, The Greatest Shade by The Joy Formidable off the album The Big Roar.
That's such a Joy Formidable song title.
I know, right? They're a little artsy fartsy, but it's a good song though. Then I got When the Levee Breaks by Led Zeppelin.
Say artsy fartsy and Will She Weirdsy.
Carry on. I had two more. I had Freedom by Rage Against the Machine because off their first record, self-titled record, and I got just basically any song that closes a Metallica record because Metallica is known for putting epic tracks on their final one on their albums. Just tons of them.
Epic closure.
Yep. So those are some good album closes.
So anyone's never heard of those records, check them out. Or if you have, then heard the records, just agree, and we'll all be happy.
Or send it, shout us out. We'll throw out some of your favorites. If you have some good closers, hit us up.
This game will come up again.
Email us at basketcasesla@basketcasespodcast.com or tweet me at basketcasesla. So that's pretty much all the sports stuff I had for the week. I hope it's a better week next week. So one other couple of things I also want to talk about. Just Scott Weiland, the Stone Temple Pilots singer. He died this week, passed away probably from what's believed to be a crack cocaine overdose at the age of 48. If you don't know, Scott Weiland is an incredible vocalist, an incredibly talented musician. The music world lost a really great rock vocalist, but everybody knows he struggled with addiction for most of his life. Yeah, forever. So that's a sad loss.
Let's just be happy he lived this long and made that much music.
Yeah.
Like we said.
Another thing I want to say just about the podcast, I hope you're enjoying just a little bit of just entertainment from this show every week, because just putting together the news and notes for an episode, just going through this week, just seeing every story was just guns and plane crashes and shootings and stuff like that. And it's the whole world right now, really, man. It's like it's a tough time right now. And I just want to say I hope that people find peace, stop killing people, and bad things quit happening, and people start treating people like they want to be treated. And I hope you enjoy listening to the show and escaping from all the crap in the real life, because it's a rough world right now. Just is. There's just so many stories, so many bad things happening, so many different causes and movements for injustices happening around the world, and terrorism, and just it's tough.
Lots of bad parenting.
So I'm going to segue over to the fact that Kim Kardashian and Kanye West had their baby. So help us all.
Who cares?
So many people that shouldn't.
He's going to be the most stylish little kid ever.
Yeah.
He's going to be the only little kid I'm going to want to fight.
You won't need to. He'll have it hard enough as it is. He's going to have to deal with those as his parents.
Oh, yeah.
So anyway, those are just a couple last little messages I wanted to have from the basket cases to your ear holes. So
to your ear holes.
To your ear holes. So I want to, again, thank everybody for listening. Encourage you to contact the show, subscribe on iTunes, listen on YouTube and SoundCloud. Tell your friends. It means the world to us, all the people that have been listening, and encouragement, the criticism, the whatever it is that you bring, or we value it all. So thanks from the basket cases, and cheers. And
oh yeah,
as always,
remember, you're just a basket case. See you next week.
See you next week, everybody.
Well, we'll hear you next week. You'll hear us next week.
Yeah, we'll see each other while we record, and you'll hear us next week. And carry on.
Yeah.
Thanks. Bye.